Walk around with your Beretta. Protecting yours at any cost. Magazines ready to take another level. Yeah. Let your flag fly in any weather. Straight gang banging nigga on whatever. Hey. Then tell me will you practice what you preach, chief? Please point these guns at these oppressors. Time to stretch and work it out now. Work it out, work it out. Hey. Work it out, work it out.
And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Oh, all right. I just had to make sure that we was live. I had to double, triple check. Anyway, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. Shout out to the family at NerveDJsRadio.com. Tonight we have an extra special friend of the show, director of the Murder Inc. story documentary. If you have not checked out the first episode, which aired last Tuesday, make sure you go do that, because episode 2 airs tomorrow at 9 p.m. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Michael J. Payton. What's good, bruh?
Sir, how you doing, man? I'm glad to be
Doing
back.
great, man. Man, you know, I had a nice little intro. We live, we recording.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, man, how's life? How's the family?
Oh man, everything's good, man. We've just been celebrating this launch of the Murder Inc. story on BET, and it's been phenomenal. When I tell you that the feedback has been through the roof, like I'm shocked. You know, not to say I'm shocked that I know we put out a good product, but you know, you just know the internet is like the cruelest thing in the world, and they'll tell you how they really feel. And I can say overwhelmingly, the response has been just like people are just blown away by it.
So what's the best thing you heard about it so far? Like what was, like, you saw a comment and that shit was just like, wow, you said that?
Oh man, I've been getting so many comments like, man, this has got me feeling nostalgia. This has got me feeling back to in those days. This is inspiring me to move and want to like get back on my grind. Because episode 1 is so much about the come up. You know, it's all about Irv and his come up, and starting out from Queens, and then eventually, you know, working his way to becoming a producer, and then ultimately having his own label at Def Jam, which ultimately became Murder Inc. So when you see that hustle, when you really see that grind played out in real time, it's inspiring, man. It's motivating. Even as I watch it, as many times as I've seen the cut over and over again, every time I watch it, I'm a little bit inspired again, because it's just a phenomenal, remarkable story, man.
I mean, but let's keep it a buck, bro. Like, your story is no less remarkable or inspirational.
Man,
You know,
thank
and
you.
all salute to Irv, like fucking phenomenal. Loved it. But your shit, bro, like I saw a picture of you posted of you and Kevin Lyles.
Oh
You
man,
read
yeah,
his book at like 15,
yeah.
and full circle. Like, you got a couple full circle moments,
Oh
and we'll
man.
get to those. But how was it sitting down with Kevin Lyles?
Man, like you said, I've had a number of full circle moments, and that had to be one of the most gratifying. I mean, obviously, we'll get to a couple of the other ones, a couple of the other big ones down the road, but like that was really gratifying, because, like I said, like you said, I read Kevin Lyle's book at the age of 15. I remember it was Christmas time around. I think my mom had got it for me for Christmas, and it was 2015. I'm sorry, I was 15. I may have been, I don't know when the year was, but I was 15 years old, and I read that book. You know, because I started off as an artist, a rapper, a producer myself, and I was trying to find ways to break into the business. And you know, being a cat from the Bay Area, trying to break in on the at the industry level, on the big level, was just hard. So I was always reading everything from all the big wigs who had broke through, and kind of gave you that little game. So I read Kevin Lyle's book, and he talked about how he went from himself being a rapper. Actually, folks don't know, a lot of folks may not know this, but he actually wrote the Milli and Vanilli song "Girl You Know It's True."
I had no clue about that.
He wrote that. They stole the song from him. He sued them, got a lot of money, and that was kind of his entrance, his entryway into the music business. But he eventually found that he didn't just want to be an artist; he wanted to be a guy on the behind the scenes. And so he started working. He didn't even start working. He just begged somebody, and maybe Leor Cohen or Russell Simmons, or one of them. He begged them to just work at Def Jam for free when he was when he was younger. and he worked so hard. Within 6 years, he became president of the company. Um, and when you read this book, it's just so inspiring, and it's like he just tells you that you got to do every little small job, every little things that you think may be beneath you, things that you know you're overqualified to do. Just always be willing to be of service and be willing to give of yourself, and people will see that. The right people will see that, and you will eventually move your way up the ladder. And I took that to heart, and I started interning at the radio station in the Bay, and I worked my way up. Just learning, like just doing everything, every little job, every little. I would do things for free. I would do things and not get paid what I was supposed to get paid to do. But I was always just working my way, trying to learn and doing any little thing. No job was too small for me, and I think that's ultimately the kind of drive and the values that I took from reading Kevin's book. Ultimately got me to where I was able to sit down with him and interview him for my TV documentary. So that those kind of things are just complete. One of the many full circle moments I've had in my life.
So was he what you envisioned?
Yeah, let me tell you, I met Kev. Actually, when I talking about, I mean, my life has just been a just a freaking hodgepodge of these if you want to call them full circle moments, right? But when I got the said internship at the radio station I was just talking about, I had probably been working there a month, right? And I worked a concert, and I think at the time Kevin was managing an artist there, and I was just working the booth or something as a radio intern, wasn't really thinking much of it. He walked up to the booth. I didn't even know Kevin Lyles was there. He walked up to the booth and just shook my hand. I didn't even, it took me a second to even realize who he was, and like, oh shit, that's Kevin Lyles, right? And he was like, man, I see you working, grinding, keep going, brother. And I was like, yo, Kev, I gotta get a picture with you, man. Your book changed my life. I had one of my friends snap a picture that you can see on our Instagram. I was just so happy. That was like one of my first times that I knew I'm on the right path, right? And so he just his humility and his, he didn't have to walk up to some lowly intern or just some radio booth, but he walked up and shook my hand. I think he may have shook a couple other of our interns' hands, and just he just had that great spirit. And it was no different when I met him now 10 years later. That was 2012 when we first met. 10 years later, when I sat down and I kind of reminded him of that moment, he was just like, wow, man, like, look at God, and Kev is just very, very humble and just a hard worker and humble dude. And it was everything you would expect.
Wow. All right. So let me, like you've been on the show before, and full disclosure, like I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like he was on the show last Thursday and I completely fucked it up. Didn't record it, nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying on the inside. It was a beautiful conversation. I hit him up and he's like, bro, let's just do it again. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this nigga got all this shit going on, like celebrating, just everything, getting a million calls, and he willing to take another hour out of his day to chop it up with me. That I can't possibly thank you enough for that, bro. And I think the public needs to know about that.
No, bro, I appreciate you telling that. Listen, man, it's just that work ethic that I just told you about. And first of all, you a good dude and you a good brother, and I see what you're doing. I love the platform that you created here, and I really genuinely enjoyed the first conversation we had, and the second conversation we just took it to another level. So I'm like, listen, anything you need from me, bro, I'm always gonna be here. But it's just also that spirit of working hard. Like, you have to work hard, and I don't care if I got 10 followers, 10,000 followers, or 10 million, or whatever I'm doing at the time. You always got to stay humble and just keep working. Like, this is work, and it don't feel like work when we chopping it up, but we out here doing the job. We all out here creating this content and trying to get the word out to people about this doc. And you got to just keep grinding, keep hustling, stay humble, man. Things happen. I've had so many mishaps and stuff. I've had Irv has had to call me so many times. He just called me last week and screamed at me for making some mistakes that you know what I'm saying? Like, really? It happens, man. Like, but you gotta just stay humble and just keep working and take care of the people that take care of you.
What's that call like though?
So, oh man, you don't even want to know about it, man.
I kind of do.
Irv is Irv, man. So when he's very passionate about what he what we're building with this documentary, and he's very passionate about just getting the story told in the best way possible. And there's a couple of things that we had missed in the cut, and he was just like, "Why'd you guys leave this out? Why?" And he was just but it's Irv. But when he does it, when he's screaming at you, it's out of love. It's out of the fact that he wants this to be the best they can be, and he's going to push everybody that's working on this to be, even though Irv is not day to day necessarily on this project, because he's given, he allowed us full autonomy just to tell the story in the way that's transparent and not biased in any way. But when he does finally get to sit and watch these things, he's like, how could you miss this? And of course, when Irv talks to you, he's very passionate. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's a few expletives and things that that was said that's probably even too hot for this for the internet. You know what I'm saying? But he was but at the end of the day, it's done all because we want the best project. But that's just how it goes, man. We everybody makes I don't want to say mistakes. I like to say you either win or you learn. Right. And there's no such thing to me, there's no such thing as failure. To me, you only fail when you quit. Now, we would have failed if we would have did this great, incredible interview. We didn't record it, but then we were like, oh well, we're not doing it. That's a failure. But we just learned. We like, okay, there's some things that we can do better this time, and there's some things I could have said cleaner, and I'm gonna say it better this time. And some things I probably won't reveal again. But no. But no, that's just how it is, man. You either win or you learn, and that's why we're here.
Speaking of Irv, he's got a complex reputation, to say the least. How do you humanize him? Matter of fact, talk to me about what was the room like when he was speaking on his father.
Oh man. Well, it's not hard to. I'll say this first. It's not hard to humanize Irv, right? Irv is. He walks around with his heart on his sleeve, and sometimes that's a problem because he always says what he always says what he feels, whether it's politically correct or right or cool or not, and he's very vulnerable. But I'll tell you this: when for those of you who may have watched episode 1, and I don't want to give away the story too much, but Irv speaks about his father, Poppy, who passed away about a year after I did the interview with him, and he got emotional, and and his father was his hero. His father was, I grew up looking up to Irv and Jay and all these cats, right? As well as my dad to a certain degree, but these guys were my my comic book heroes, if you will, right? These guys were my Superman, my Batman. No. For Irv, Poppy was his superhero for real. Like it wasn't nobody else. It was that was his. And I'll say this too. There's a lot of us in the Black community who grew up without fathers in our home, who grew up with we might know you might know your pops, but he's over there and you over here with whatever. But Irv's father stayed in the house. Like he had 8 kids. They didn't have a whole lot of money. He could have walked away. He could have did, what so many men in that era did. When you talk to Jay or you hear Jay's story, his dad had a similar thing. He walked away. He couldn't take the pressure of dealing with. Poppy stayed, held it down forever, and was the true patriarch of the family, and really held the family down and really was the glue. So when he passed away, you feel, his absence in that family. And so again, when Irv speaks about Poppy, he just got emotional. When I tell you, you can hear a pin drop in the room. That is not hyperbole. That's not no, cliche. That is for real. We all were sitting there, and I was even me, I was sitting there choking back tears, and the gaffer and the AC was over here, choking back tears, and it was just a real moment. And those are the moments that I think get overshadowed, which is why it's so unfortunate so much of this negativity and controversy has came out around things that he may have said in other interviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you really get to see it. This is a full, like, none of us are just all one thing, right? Sure, Herb has his side that can be problematic or, wear too much of his heart on his sleeve, but he also is a very much a great guy. He's a great family man. And I think sometimes that gets overshadowed. Not saying it's anybody else's fault, but his sometimes, right? And he'll
Right.
admit that. But again, just to get back to your original question, it's not hard to humanize him because he is a very, very human and very just a very good human being, despite what the
Mm-hmm.
media may say, right? And what the headlines may read. He's just a good human being, family man, a good brother, son, father who love his passionate about his family and passionate about what he does.
Okay. And you know what? I will say, like one thing I try to make sure, or at least I would like for our brothers and sisters to be shown in a positive light.
Mhm.
The dude is just good at promoting,
Yeah,
and he knows what gets the people going.
yeah.
Is he wrong sometime? Absolutely, but which one of us isn't?
Hmm.
But he's made a shitload of people rich.
Hmm. Yeah,
So you got to give him his flowers for doing that.
absolutely.
And for those people who haven't checked out our first interview, I just want to give them a quick rundown that you made your own documentary on Murder Inc. Irv, somebody inboxed it to him, DM'd them, whatever the case may be. They reach out to you, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah.
That another full circle situation. Highlight for you of the documentary.
Oh man, I mean, so many. This whole thing was just, again, I'm gonna keep using this term until we get sick of it, right? But full circle is just, that doesn't even begin to really explain it, man. Because when Earth first reached out to me and I made this unauthorized doc and they got the opportunity to direct this doc, it's, I mean, listen, Irv and Murder Inc. are the reason I even got into the music business in the first place. That's no cap at all. Like that
Really?
that was no cap, no cap. I remember it was the summer of 2003 or two, maybe three, and it was the, you remember, if y'all remember that song that Ja, Shanti, and Murder Inc., Charlie, Baltimore, Vita, they had down ass chick, part two. I want to be your chick. And that was the album, that on that album, Irv Gotti Presents the Ink. That was off of that
Okay.
album. And I remember for some reason that whole summer, me just playing that album over and over again, and looking at the artwork, because in the artwork it was, Irv Gotti in the center, right? And they were all dressed like this old mobster gangster 1940s shit, right? Which I thought
Right.
was dope as a
That
like
was dope.
11-year-old kid. You're like,
Yeah, that
and
was
then,
dope.
and then you see around them all, Ja, Ashanti, all the Murder Inc. artists around them, and you kind of see like, wait, who is this guy? Why is he the center of the? Oh, he's the producer. Oh, he's the record label owner. Oh, he's the boss. And that made me want to start making records myself, because I never really, I mean, as a young kid, you, of course, everybody wants to rap and do that, and but I
Yeah.
also like, okay, I want to also be the boss. I also want to be like this guy Irv. I want to have artists, and so I start putting together little mixtapes with me and my cousins, and I would have my cousins come in, even though they didn't even rap or sing. But I was like, "Get on this song and sing and rap," and I would put together little compilation CDs, right? With just all of, and I would share them around the family, and we would just share. And that was kind of my first thing, like, I kind of like doing this music thing. That got me in the door. Ultimately, I would evolve and do end up doing this film thing, but that was the whole thing that started me on this hip hop journey of really thinking I want to be involved in this business. So
Hmm.
that's a long-winded way of saying that this whole thing has been a real full circle moment to be able to interview and talk to Ja, Vita, Charlie Baltimore. Uh, um, Now I didn't get a chance to talk to Ashanti. We'll talk about that later. But I did.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
did.
whoa, whoa! Since you brought it up,
Oh shit!
let's get that out there with the elephant in the room.
Oh my
Right,
god!
that we all know the comments that were made. Shout out to Ja Rule. I think the brother handled that like his brother, like he should handle that. And I think and I don't know Irv. But I would guess that if he could go back and maybe reword some things, he probably would. But did you guys reach out to Ashanti?
For the documentary, yeah, we
Yes.
absolutely. I personally reached out to Ashanti, to her mom,
Mm-hmm.
and who's her manager and her management team. I reached out a couple of times, and I have to say that they were very respectful. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't like, oh hell nah, we ain't fuck. No, it wasn't that. They were like, listen, and I broke it down. I said my piece. I said, listen, I understand. Um, that there's some muddy waters here. I understand that there may be some, but I want to give. I wouldn't feel right, and I'm paraphrasing. So but I wouldn't feel right to not, as the director, to not have Ashanti's voice represented in a real way, to be able to speak to anything she wants to speak to, or not speak to
Mm-hmm.
anything she wants to speak to, and I reached out. Several other producers reached out, but again, they respectfully declined and said we think it's best as a team that we don't involve ourselves in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're disappointed because there's a hole.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there's a gaping hole missing there, because while we do tell Ashanti's story the best way we can, and we try to do it I try my best to do it in as much of a unbiased way as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Ashanti. I'm a fan of her music, and I respect and appreciate what she's contributed to the culture. So I didn't want to be one sided, but unfortunately, we just didn't have anybody from that side
Yeah.
uh, to represent her in the interview form. So that definitely was a disappointment for sure. But listen, I'll say this. To be keeping it 100. Uh, while I'm disappointed that Ashanti did not participate, and I would like to have had her participate, there's also some things that are deeper than rap, to
Yeah.
quote Rick Ross, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's some things that deserve to be handled behind the scenes before they're handled in front of the camera,
I feel
right?
you.
And I have to say that Shanti is first of all, she's a woman. She's a black woman. She is a trailblazing black woman who
Facts.
I mean, she laid the groundwork and broke so many records, and she deserves our respect. She deserves our admiration, and she also deserves her privacy, right? If
Yeah.
she wants to speak on certain things or not, that's her right. And who the hell am I as a guy, even though I'm directing this thing, but as a man, who am I to tell her what she should and what she should not speak on,
I feel
right?
you.
And so if she wants to speak on any situations that may or may have taken place, that's her right. If she doesn't want to speak on it, that's her right as well. Now, of course, again, the capitalist in me would like to have had this content in my documentary, right? But at the same time, I'm a man first. I grew up in a family full of women, and I
Yeah.
understand that some things are just you don't want to. We should never get to a space where we're invading someone's personal space where they don't want to speak on certain things. I think we should respect that. And I think, I guess I'll just leave it at that. But again, while I'm disappointed that she didn't participate, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I respect her decision to protect her and hers. Right? That's what she, that's her right, and we gotta respect that, and we shouldn't. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
So did Irv allot you the freedom to edit it the way you saw fit, or was he like, I need this, and leave this out?
No, no. I mean, Irv, like I said at the top, gave us pretty pretty wide a pretty wide net, right?
Mm-hmm.
To tell this story. He told me from the very beginning, before we ever got a camera up 3 years ago. He was like, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to tell the whole story. If people want to come on and say fuck Irv Gotti, we go let him say it and don't cut it out. Like and trust me, when you watch this, y'all might have got through episode 1 and it was nice and it was a cool story. Wait till you get through the rest of this series, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something. It ain't all pretty and roses and stuff, right? Like people are keeping it 1,000 about Urban here, like straight up. Like ain't nobody pulling back no punches. People are, everyone from Leor Cohen to Jay-Z to Kevin Liles to Steve Stout. These guys are keeping it 100% real about Irv, and to a point where even when I'm watching it back, I'm like, damn, I hope doesn't get, don't feel type of way about me for letting this even go in there. But it's people keeping it real, and I think you got look. I think if anybody respects that, it's going to be Irv, because that's what he does, right? He keeps it too real sometimes, and but I think I think it's good because really you get a full balanced perspective about Murder Inc., about Irv, about this era in hip hop, and I think that is that's really one of the secret sauces of this doc, that we didn't hold anything back. We didn't have anybody telling us don't take this out, don't say that, don't do no. Like we absolutely we held no punches, and I let people tell their stories. I think you should.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that. Were you surprised at all by anybody's honesty?
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I really was on. I want to give the story away. I want the viewers to watch it and
I
see it
got
for
you.
themselves. But there was some interviews. There was a couple of interviews that I'm like, yo, like, you really want to say this? Like, which sure you want? Like,
Did you ask anybody that?
huh?
Did you
No,
ask anybody
I let
that?
this go. I mean, I really there's some people that I didn't even really ask these questions to. They kind of volunteered this stuff, like, what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like, I won't say who, but there was a number of people who basically said, yo, Irv could have been so much bigger than what he was, and the murdering could have been so much bigger and lasted so much longer if it wasn't for some of the stupid shit that Irv did. Not my words, this is their words, right?
Yeah.
And that was a consistent theme in so many people's interviews. Like, yo, this guy was just brilliant, and he was this and that, and still brilliant. People still give him those flowers. Like, yo, he's such a, but sometimes he gets in his own way, and that was one of the things that really just shocked. Because when you hang around for somebody for 3 years, you kind of pick up on certain things, but you don't know if are you the only one seeing this, or are other. So when you hear these big wigs saying this same thing, it's like, oh, okay, this is something that people um, have just they've seen, and they know this is who he is. And that was one of the things that was just really shocking to me, that people were just so quick to point that out, that that bruh's not perfect, and as he would admit too.
Mm-hmm. Were you shocked with his honesty?
No, no, no. I just was
And
not.
you know what? And not in the. How about I take that back? Were you shocked at his vulnerability?
Yes, I was shocked by the fact that, like I said, when he would get emotional about Pop,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually got emotional about a couple other things. I'm not sure if they all made it into the final cut, but yeah, because as I have been around her for the last 3-4 years or so, he has a very, he wears his heart on his sleeve, but he
Mm-hmm.
also has a very tough bravado, and it very hardcore. Like, he's not he doesn't really come across as an emotional kind of guy now. Like, of course he'll get passionate, and but not like to a sense where he'll like shed a tear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I seen him shed those tears a few times, and was willing to do that in front of everybody, in front of the world, that did kind of shock me, because I wasn't expecting. I was just kind of expecting the Irv Gotti, the gangster image that
Yeah.
is often out there. But I was kind of shocked at the just pure vulnerability and willingness to be so candid. So yeah, that was shocking to me.
Okay. And so I saw the story. I think it was Hip Hop DX about the full circle with Jay Z.
Oh man.
Let's talk about that. And matter of fact, you get the call. Okay, we got Jay Z. You walk in the room. For you personally, what's your first thought when you see Jigga?
I'll say this, man. Again, we're keeping it 100 today,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
This is intellectually petty radio, so I'm gonna keep it 100.
Facts.
I don't get nervous about anything or anybody anymore.
Really?
No, I'm listen, I'm 30 plus years old. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen so many people. I've been around enough that I don't really get rap. I'll tell you this: when I was waiting in the hallway, or in the lobby waiting for Jay to come in, I got the butterflies. I'm not gonna lie, because, and it's not just it's because not only what just the fact I'm a fan, right? I mean, I know every Jay Z line ever, from every lyric, every song, every album. Like, I'm a huge fan. I consider him to be the greatest of all time, in my
Yeah,
opinion, right?
I feel you.
Um,
I
and
disagree, but I feel you.
yeah, but and I know it's up for debate, but for me, Jay is the greatest of all, not just because of what he's done on the mic, but also what he does outside the mic. But again, so what when I went through undergrad uh, at San Francisco State University from 2009 till I graduated, I think 2015 or so. The Sean Carter Scholarship Foundation, which is Jay-Z's scholarship foundation, put me through school. It gave me a big chunk of financial assistance that allowed me to really delve into my academics, my studies, and buy the equipment that I need, buy all the gear and everything that I needed to study my major, which was TV and radio broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to be in that room and that on that day, not only as a fan, a mega fan, but also as someone who is a product of his organization, his foundation. I was sitting there and I was, this was and then when he walked in, I didn't even know who he. I was such in a fog that when he walked in, I was just like, oh, okay, that's Jay, right? But he was so cool and very just a cool, sweet guy, and very welcoming, and all the nerves obviously went away after that when we got into our conversation. But when after actually before I actually interviewed him, when we were setting up, I told him
Mm-hmm.
that, Jay, I'm actually one of your scholars, and I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you. And he just sat there and looked at me for a minute, and he was just like, wow. Like, and I think I said it in my post. He was like, man, he's like, life, man, life. This is amazing. That's why I repeated that line. But he was just so enamored that after our interview, he pulled out his phone, hit the FaceTime button, and called his mom, Miss Gloria Carter, who runs his foundation, and connected us there and shared my story. And we all sat there and got emotional because it was this big, it was just a great moment. And yeah, man, I mean, that was just one of those things that you couldn't, if you would have wrote it, you couldn't have scripted it as good as that, and talking about a full circle moment to have Jay pay for my college education, to me getting a chance to work in my first major TV directorial debut. I mean,
You made it worth it for them.
man,
It was
man,
tangible. They could actually reach out and say, "Hey, this is why we started this."
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
pretty dope. And have you spoken to either one of them since?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, to go take it a little further, maybe a couple of weeks that went by,
Mm,
and I had heard through the grapevine that Hov asked for my information, and I think to connect me with his mom, but he's busy. He's a kind of a busy guy, So I
yeah.
just figured that that's a sweet, great gesture, but I probably would never really hear from him again. But and cool, we'll cross paths at some point. So I'm sitting in my crib one day, and my phone rings, a New York number, and I call it back, and who's on the other line but the sweetest voice you ever want to hear, Miss Gloria Carter, right?
Mm,
And she basically um, said, she was so inspired and so happy that we were able to connect again, and she asked me. So to give some context, the Sean Carter Foundation does this annual bus tour for HBCUs
okay.
every year. But obviously due to the pandemic, they had to scale it back and do
Yeah.
virtual bus tours. So Miss Carter asked me if I would come and speak, via Zoom to her new class of scholars who are doing this bus tour. And I said, absolutely, like what? Of course. And so we did, and I connected with them, and I spoke to the students. It was amazing. And then we've had several conversations after. We've been talking about doing some projects together. We're actually collaborating on a couple of things together. So I get a chance to speak to Miss Carter quite often, because we're now working together now. So that's and I don't want to get too far into that yet, but definitely we'll have some announcements in the coming weeks or months. But yeah, let's just say that definitely I'm you see the hat. This is the Rock
Well,
Nation hat, but
when you get invited to go to the mansion, and y'all just
oh,
kicking back, chilling, just bring up intellectually petty radio.
listen, man, I don't know if I don't know if I'm that cool, but I'm honored. I'm honored just to be able to say that I'm able to contribute in any way to this foundation that gave so much to me, and I know it's going to give so much to future scholars and the current scholars that they have. Like I told Miss Carter, I'm going to do any and everything in my power, as long as I have resources, a platform, or a voice, or air in my lungs, to always scream the Sean Carter Foundation, and let people know that they're really out there doing the work, and I'm a product of it.
That's dope.
So when people say, I see the memes all around, like, oh, well, we got all these black billionaires and stuff, but we got no schools, we got no. I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about, but I'm an actual product of these guys. Jay has this amazing scholarship foundation. Rock Nation now has a school in New York.
I didn't know that.
Diddy has a school in Harlem. A couple of charter schools in Harlem. I think T.I. is doing like affordable housing in Atlanta. Like there's so many artists out here really doing the work and giving back in a real meaningful way that may not get blown up, because honestly, a lot of folks don't want this to be blown up. They just want to do it. That Jay has a line that I love. It says the best form of giving is anonymous to anonymous.
I completely disagree with that, though, because you'll brag about your cars, you'll brag about Tom Fords, and you'll brag about your expenditures for yourself. Brag about your expenditures for your community. Make that a thing.
No,
Just
listen.
my 2 cents.
To a certain degree, I agree, and I think they do use their platform in a very smart way. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, I just gave this much money to these people and blah. Look at me. It's really like they're really focused on doing the work. So it's not about the accolades, right? And every so often you get somebody like me who will pop up and be a product and a shining example of what their work is. And I think that's good enough, because guess what? I'm going to spread the word, and I'm going to tell people about what they're doing. I'm going to continue to bring attention and light to that. And and I think that's again, I don't disagree that we should scream this stuff as loud as we do about the other stuff, but at the same time, when you give, you should give not expecting anything back. You should give not expecting any praise.
That's
not
true.
expecting. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but but I can definitely tell you, there's folks out here really doing the work the best that they can. And
shout out, I gotta say, because I'm from Detroit, shout out to Jalen Rose and I think it's the JRLA Academy. Been doing their thing for a few years now. That's pretty fucking dope. Jalen Rose is a dope ass dude, though. I had a chance to take a picture with him one time. I never showed anybody the picture because it looked like I'm his son. This nigga's like 70 feet tall, man. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, you don't want that to leak, man. You don't want that to
Oh
leak.
my god, it's in my phone too. Every now and then I'm scrolling through pictures. I look at that shit like, I should delete
my
it, but
God.
it's fucking J Rose. All right, so the night it premieres, you're at home. You got your people over. You by yourself. Set the scene for me. Like, how do you watch the episode 1?
So obviously I've seen it a billion times on my laptop and as I'm working through it, but I wanted to experience the show with the audience, right? So I invited some family over, invited a couple of friends, very small, wasn't really I didn't make a big to do about it, but And of course I'm still in a very small apartment too, so I ain't got that Irv Gotti. I ain't got that Irv Gotti 300 million yet. So I'm still I was kind of limited in what I could really do. But I invited a few people over, just ordered some Domino's. Shout out to Domino's if y'all want to sponsor. But and we sat there, and in true to form, we had some Douce. We had some. We
Not
had
mad at that.
and we just sat there and watched it, and I experienced it. And I'll tell you this, brother, I don't actually remember much from it. Maybe it was the Douce, but also I was just in such euphoria just watching it. I'll tell you this: when you're making a show for network TV, it just flows different when you watch it on, in the editing bay than when you're actually watching on TV. And you start to see and understand because TV just has a different tempo. When you go in and out of these commercial breaks and you see, oh, okay, I see why, and I see how it picks right back. Because this is my first TV documentary that I've ever done this scale. So just seeing the pacing and the way, man, it's an experience, man. And I really enjoyed when I watched it again, because I didn't really get a chance to really soak it in because I was in such euphoria just watching my product on TV. But when I got a chance to watch it back again a couple of days later on TV, I was like, wow, it's something like you never really experienced, man. Like it's one thing, when I was an artist and I first heard my song on the radio for the first time, that feeling is better than anything.
Feeling.
Yes. That feeling is crazy. Yes. But this is up there. This is up there. Seeing you, and then not only that, to have your first show that you've directed and produced come on, I could just drop the mic on Irv Gotti, Ja Rule, and that's it. If I just got those two cats in the doc, and that was the only two people we had, cool. Not only that, we had Ja, Irv, Charlemagne, Nas, Jigga. I can go on and on. Big Boy from LA Radio. I can just go on and on and on about all the stars that we had. Stephen Hill from BET, the former president of BET. Like heavy hitters, man. Damon John from Shark Tank and FUBU. Like,
what was that guy like?
He's like the coolest dude. He's the coolest guy. He's like, he's just smart, just a smart dude. He's always thinking, gears always going. And when you sit down, I wish that we can, do show more of our interview, because when he talks about his story growing up in Queens and growing up developing FUBU and stuff, that story right there is crazy, right?
So underrated as a brand.
Underrated.
Completely. Oh my God.
Man.
And I lived through FUBU. Like,
oh man.
Oh my God! Shout out to LL Cool J for dropping FUBU in a Gap commercial too. That shit was fucking brilliant. You don't get enough credit for doing that shit.
Crazy.
Man. I'm sorry.
No.
I would love to interview that guy. That's fucking dope. The biggest learning adjustment since this being your first network project. And matter of fact, before you even answer that, I want to say, and I told you this the other day, I watched it, the first episode, I watched it the first time, because we was doing an interview, and I wanted to watch it. I watched it again because I liked the shit. Now, my expectations, having seen BET shows before, were limited at best. This was not the Biggie movie, or this was really high quality. I was like, wow. Like BET has it's almost like this was the jumping board for a whole new era of BET. Would you agree with that?
Listen, I first of all, I love BET, and I love our BET partners. But I know coming into this, one of the things I was very, very adamant about, I was like, listen, y'all, respectfully, I love the Chronicles. I love the Death Row Chronicles and the Rough. That stuff is all, the storytelling is phenomenal. But we want to kick it up a notch. We want to, give the audience an experience that they haven't had with the BET show. Like, so I was very adamant that we didn't have the white background, the black background. Let's open up the world a little bit more. Let's give people a peek into the world of Murder Inc. and really let them feel like they're immersed. Let's go into Irv's house. Let's go into Jay's office. We were in Jay's office when we shot that. Let's center the story around these characters and where they are. And some of them, we had a backdrop. We did the mic booth backdrop, which was really cool. But I love that we were able to really get a lot of these really natural, organic vibe into the documentary. And I think it really helped to kick the storytelling up a whole notch. And to their credit, our partners at BET were also very adamant about making sure that we were given a premium, high quality look that wasn't just going to be the average documentary, right? And that I mean, I couldn't be more proud of the visual presentation of the documentary. I mean, the incredible archival footage that our team, shout out to Inkblot, who were incredible partners on editing and helping to piece this story together. I mean, listen, I'm just very, very proud that, even though, as an artist, you look at things like, damn, I could have did this better. We could have, tweaked this here. But at the end of the day, you don't let the perfect be the enemy of the great. And I think we have a really great product that people can be very proud. I've heard that, a lot of folks that we've interviewed have watched this back and have been, blown away by it. So I think that right there tells you a lot that you need to know.
Yeah. And they should be, because so far I'm looking forward to tomorrow's episode. I really want to get like some sneak shit. Ain't nobody really listening, but I'm not gonna put you. I ain't gonna put you on the spot like that. All right, so going from doing shit at home to your first major television situation, what was the biggest learning curve?
I would say the biggest learning curve was, because when you are an independent, I mean, because you're doing your show, you're probably doing a lot of stuff. Just is you, it's just all you, all your elbow grease you put into it. I'm so used to doing that is kind of the norm for me. I actually feel uncomfortable not being hands-on with every little thing. I want to be hands-on in everything. I want to be in every marketing meeting. I want to be in every post. I mean, I was heavy in the post-production, but I want to be in every single, the clearance meetings. I want to be in everything. And the truth is that when you're handling a project of this scale, you just don't always have the bandwidth to be in every place at one time, and that's why you have a team. So working with our team with BT and Visionary Ideas, that I'm not saying it's a learning curve, because I've obviously worked with teams and I love working with strong teams. But when it comes to this type of project, I'm used to just being completely hands-on with everything. So learning how to let go and let God, if you will, and let the other team members do their job and not micromanage everything was kind of the biggest learning curve for me, because I'm very much I want to be in the weeds. I want to be in the weeds of every single. I want to take on every challenge. I want to solve every problem. And I want to dive in and make sure that we are creating the best product. And ultimately, I think we did come up with a really good product. But I had to learn to kind of let the other team members do what they're supposed to do, and I play my position and quarterback the way that that I'm supposed to. But that was probably the biggest learning curve for me, was just kind of taking a step back and learning how to be not so hands-on.
So and just a quick shout out to some of your team members. Who are some of the people you were working with behind the scenes?
Oh man, I gotta give a shout out, obviously, to Irv, who's the president of Visionary Ideas, or who's the founder of Visionary Ideas. The president, Darcel Lawrence, Chris Costine, who was a showrunner on the show, Aaron Bowden, who was the executive producer on the post side, Aaron Champion, who was the post, who handled post as well, Louise Montoya, who was my DP for the first half of this doc, and then Sam Hicks, who was the director of photography for the remainder of what we did for BET. I mean, so many people I can shout out. My girl Tony, who Postel, who was our great, brilliant archival producer. I mean, I can go on and on with everybody that we such a brilliant and capable team, man. I mean, I couldn't have did it without we couldn't have done it without each other. So definitely shout out to the whole team. And if I miss anybody, I'll send you a Starbucks card. Sorry.
Who comes up with the questions for each guest? Like for me, I've got one person at a time. So it's pretty, I don't want to say simple, but whatever it is you do, I typically have, some time in advance where I can kind of live with that person for a little bit, look through their catalog, their history or whatever. I don't necessarily have to write down questions. Like I got like some topics, some names, but that's a lot of people to interview. How do you come up with all the questions?
I'll say this: I interviewed every single individual on this doc, and when I tell you that everybody you see in here is not even doesn't even cut it. Like there's so many people that we had to leave. I unfortunately we couldn't fit in just because we have a 40-minute runtime of TV.
Right.
But we had to do over 50, maybe 60 individuals that we interviewed. I interviewed all but one. But I will say that the majority of the interviews I wrote down, and then again, because it's a team effort, I would shoot them off to my team, and the team would come in and say, "Well, how about this? How about that?" and add on to it. But the initial string out of the questions would, all be from my brain and out, formulating around the act breakdowns that I created in the beginning of creating this series. And so you look at the structure of the show and say, okay, what questions do we need to ask to get us from point A to point B to point, and so yeah, it was definitely a team effort. But I'm telling you, sitting there in your hotel room the couple of days before and trying to pin out, 50 questions per interviewee is that's some
You
stress.
had to do 50 You had 50 questions.
Oh man, it depends on who we had. Yeah, sometimes it was more. I mean, for Irv and Ja, who were really the main fabric of this show, I mean, it was hundreds of questions. I'm not kidding you, hundreds of questions that we had to go through. And I think I interviewed Irv. Shit, man, 5, 6 times. I mean, all 6 to 8 hour days. So I interviewed him. And then John, I think we did like 3 or 4 times, maybe 3 times. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions just for those two brothers alone. And
Damn.
not to mention all the others. After a while, the good thing is once you start getting down, and I'm going into the weeds a little bit for all my creatives out there, but as you start moving down the shoot schedule and you kind of have your core built out of your show, then you start to realize, okay, we need somebody to respond to this. We need somebody that's going to speak to this that Irv said. I need somebody to back up what Josh said here or what J-Man said. So you kind of start to tailor your questions to certain individuals, knowing what you need from them. So those questions may have went from 50 to about 20, but as we move down the line, just because there just wasn't enough time to sit there and, prod every single question that we may have would like to have gotten to.
So at what point does the story for you develop? Like we all know, you're doing a documentary, so you kind of know, okay, it's about Murder Inc., it's about Irv, Blase Splee. But even in doing so, you got so many questions. At some point, there's like a storyline for
Right.
you. Like at what point did you know that going in, or was there a certain point during the process where you're like, okay, this is where I'm going with it?
Oh, absolutely. So before we ever put a camera up, right? And again, I spent 3 years developing this project, 3 long years of developing this. So over the years, I've, even before we knew it was a 5-part series, I had an entire breakdown of the entire story. The entire story. I personally wrote out the entire story of how I seen this thing arcing. Once I knew that we had 5 parts and then we were doing a 5-episode series, then I tailored, took that, edited and tailored it down to, okay, how do we break this into acts? How do we break, episode 1? What is our act 1? What's our act 2? What's our act out of 5 and to get us into episode 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. So I laid out the entire skeleton of the actual story and how we want to do it. Our post producer Aaron Bowden came in and he put his gloss on it, and he really helped to make it a stronger story because he has so many years of experience in TV and making these kind of shows that he was able to kind of come in and fine tune and tweak those story arcs and those acts to make them just even more fine and even more brilliant for TV. So we knew what the story was going in, but I'll tell you, as you're going and you're interviewing folks, and you're like, "Holy shit, I didn't know that was that. Oh, I didn't know we could. Oh, let's hang on that a little bit. Let's bring this into our act 3 and blah blah blah." So it's little things like that of course they do kind of change and evolve as you are actually doing it and building out the spine of the story with the interviews that you're doing. But we have always known very strongly what our core of the story is. The real fluid thing is really how do you end the show, because again, these guys are still alive, these guys are still vibrant and very active. So at any given moment things can change, right? Any given moment, for example, Irv, during the process of this, sold his masters for his master recordings. He got this big, $300 million deal, and so that obviously helped to alter our ending a lot, because we had to say, okay, well, listen, how do we factor this into? This is where Murder Inc. is now. He sold his masters, and this is where he's doing that. So that all played a role into our episode 5 and how we ultimately land the series. So again, I'm not going to give away everything, but that but fans will see how we kind of land with some of the current things that are going on. But everything else we had a pretty core understanding of what we want to tell.
So Irv calls you up, cusses you out for leaving some shit on the editing floor. Yeah. Is there anything that you're kicking yourself for leaving on the floor?
Shit, man. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say kicking myself, because there's limitations with network TV. Again, our TV is truly 40, maybe 42 minutes at best, right? Depending on, because as we know, I love my family at BET, but we have a lot of commercial breaks. We got to pay those bills, right? And so if we had a true pure hour of TV, man, there's just stories that we could have got in there. I mean, there's a story about the very early Ja Rule, DMX, and Jay-Z song. It was actually a Mike Geronimo song featuring JX and Ja called "Time to Build" that came out, I think, in 93, 94, something like that. But we tell the story. Irv and I think Jay, Ja all tell the story about how DMX and Jay and Ja were all just super competitive with each other in the studio, and how and I don't want to give it away because there may actually be some opportunity to put this out at some later down the road, but you'll hear like that dynamic of how it's like, oh, you think he's better than me? Oh, you think he's better than me? Oh, and they kind of go at each other on the song, and it's like, this is early. They weren't even nowhere near where they are today, but just to hear that hunger and that passion and drive that they had so early on, it's shit like that I wish that we could have just kept in, but we were unfortunately had to make a few adjustments because again, 40 minutes of runtime ain't really shit on network TV.
Mike Geronimo, is he in the documentary?
He is in the documentary in the sense that we talk about his story, but he did not participate in the documentary. No.
Polite decline or not asked?
I think there was some real, and I mean, there's some shit that's just too deep for.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Too harsh for TV.
Okay.
And I think it wasn't going to work out because there's some real animosity there between the camps. So I think it would we just had to leave that alone.
What was Nas like?
Nas is like the cool Esco, man. He is the coolest cat. He is truly like the coolest cat you want to meet, man. Like truly. Like everybody. I hope Jay doesn't get mad because everybody says Jay is the coolest, and Jay is cool, but Nas is really just like, he's just cool. Like he doesn't get excited, he doesn't get happy, he doesn't get sad. He's just like, and he was just a real dude. You know, he was just real. I mean, again, that's another. I mean, Nas is one of my favorites as well. So to be able to interview Nas, that shit is crazy. Like to me, it's like, yo, like listen, man. I like to think of this as because I'm still a rapper and an artist at heart, right? I like to think of this as my this is my Reasonable Doubt. This is my Get Rich or Die Trying. This is my Vinny Bettavici. This is my first album, right? This is my first album, my first studio album. And for your first studio album to come out and have, you know what I'm saying, and have Jay, Nas, Ja, Irv, Kevin Lyles, Steve Stout, Leo. I mean, this is my first album, you know, and like that's crazy, man. This is like the College Dropout for me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is incredible. This
all
is
perfect albums, by the way. Except for I was never the biggest Jay fan until after the retirement.
Interesting.
After the retirement is when I just really started to, and then I kind of went back and was like, okay, this is a lot better than I gave him credit for.
Yeah, Jay is. I mean, I think that it's just Jay is just. I think his brilliance is just in his honesty, but his also his ability to make you feel like you are there with him. You know, like and you're on this journey with him, even if you may have never had lost 92 bricks, you know, at 560 State Street, but you feel like you are there. You feel the hustle and you can relate. Like honestly, you can relate no matter what your hustle is. It's just that he has a certain drive and a certain like there's a limitless to Jay-Z and his music that I think it's intangible because you can always find somebody that can be technically more syllables, and like Eminem, I think it's just amazing technical rapper. You know, Detroit, right? And Royce the 5'9", they're just amazing technical rapper, and you feel them too, right? But somehow, even though Jay is a great technical rapper as well, but it's just something about the way he makes it so palatable and so so transferable to whatever you're doing. That's what made me a fan. You know, that's what made me a big fan, and I will be for life, man.
I feel you. Have you changed your phone number yet? I know the calls have. I know your auntie from Cucamonga that you ain't never talked to, and your cousins from Dakota are called. It's got to be a little overwhelming.
Listen, hold on. Just see that this is why I need to change my phone number right now. This is. Let me see. Yeah, see, I'm changing my number tomorrow. See, I don't have it. I don't have $1,500. I'm sorry, but sorry. No, no, my no, no. Listen, I'll say this, man. I've always had kind of a small circle anyway. So the folks that do got my number are people that have already been down. So I can say 90% of the people that call me, more than that, 98% of people that call me, I'm still picking up. Ain't nothing changed because, you know, I've learned over the years to filter out some of the bullshit and some of the people that I know it went really with me. And there's a lot of people, man, and we can get into. I can do a whole podcast on this. There's a whole lot of people out there who doubted the kid, you know. And I don't, you know, I'm not going to name no names. Carl, no, I'm just kidding. There's no Carl. I don't name no names, but no. I mean, not even to be petty. I mean, I know this is intellectually petty radio,
and it's okay to be petty over here.
But listen, it's a lot of people that just don't. I think this is transferable to anybody out there who got a dream. Sometimes you sound crazy to folks. Sometimes you really sound. Listen, man, I'll say this. Even when Irv had hit me up, I was working. I was in production. I was in production meetings. I was doing all. I was, you know, all this stuff, and people were still like, "Oh man, that shit ain't gonna really happen." Oh man, I would just, you know, he just trying to sell you a dream, man. He ain't gonna let you direct that dot. Oh man, that shit gonna go away. I'm dead ass. This is the real conversations I had. People were telling me that I should think about.
Did you think that at some point though?
No, I never did I ever have any real doubt that this would happen. But you know why? Because I believe so deeply in me and what I'm doing, right? That to me, it's like yes, God blessed me with the opportunity to meet Irv and to have this opportunity. But guess what? I did the work before that. I did the work that made me ready and
Facts.
prepared for this moment, right? So everything that I did, from me being a rapper, for me being an intern at radio stations, for me running the radio station, for me doing music videos for $100, and sometimes not even getting paid that, all the mistakes and all things that I did prepared me for this moment to deal with it, regardless. That if Irv gave me this opportunity or not, or if Irv I won't even say Irv because but I will say if this opportunity was able to pan out or not, I was still going to take this and learn from it and make the most out of it and leverage it into the next thing that I had going on, because that's just why I'm a hustler. I'm a person who is very driven about what they want. I know what I want. I'm not confused about what my journey is and where I'm trying to go with my journey. And so for other people, it may be they may have walked away. Other people may have walked away because there definitely was times, especially during the pandemic, when everything got shut down. And because we were going to start production in 2020 actually with another company, and the pandemic happened and that shut everything down, and that was very discouraging. But I never gave up because I believe in Herb. I never gave up because I believe in myself. I believed in this project, and I understood that this project has a lot of value and what we're doing has a lot of value. So no, I would have never walked. I never even contemplated walking away. While other people would have, I'm able to recognize and understand the opportunity, understand the long game, right? Not just the short term. Oh, I need a couple of bucks. I'm gonna tell you, you will go broke on your journey. You will go broke on your journey. I don't give a damn if you're a millionaire. You are going to go broke on your journey.
Like yes, a couple times.
A couple of times, and you will be discouraged. You're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna have things that's gonna come and slap you in the face and say, "Why are you doing this?" You're gonna have people that come along. Listen. Even to this day, during production, post production, now that it's out, you still got people who don't believe that I should be where I'm at, because who is this guy to be a director? Who is this guy? He's the first time to, why is he getting this opportunity and I'm not? Why is he getting this? And and to those people, you gotta just say respectfully, fuck you, and or sorry, but this is where I'm supposed to be because I worked hard to be here. So
you can use it as gasoline or you can use it as water. It's up to you.
Absolutely. Listen, I tell people all the time, man. I say, because folks say don't focus on the negative, and listen, I don't focus on the negative. I always focus on the positive. But
I focus on the negative. That shit gives me energy.
Yes. You have to listen, man, grow plants don't grow without cow shit. Right? You can't when you turn on your car, right? Every time you turn on your car, guess what happens? There's an explosion that happens in your engine, right? That makes that car go. Now, an explosion in any other environment, any other setting would be a bad thing. You don't want anything to explode, right? But in the car, in the contained environment, you use that as gas or as propellant to move that car forward. So I take all the negative energy, I take all the naysayers and stuff, and I don't believe them. I don't internalize it, but I take that energy. Oh, you don't believe I can do this? Oh, you don't? Okay,
I'm gonna show your ass.
I'm gonna show you. That's I'm not gonna say that's all that drives me. Of course, there's some pure passion that drives me, but I would be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a little intellectually petty, and that was the shit that drove me, that drives me, and makes me want to go even harder, like to show you, because nobody's going to tell me where I can and cannot go. Nobody.
All right. I know I ain't got much time left.
Yeah.
Liar Cohen. I'm sorry, Leor Cohen.
Man.
You had some really nice things to say about the guy. One of the few people I've heard say really nice things about the guy. Are you just bullshitting me, bro, or is he actually a really nice guy?
Listen, I meet people with the energy they meet me with, right? And so when I met Leor, it was hard to get him. I'll say that first. It was very, very hard to get him. We had to chase him down a couple of months. But when we did finally get him, I was actually shocked. I actually forgot that, this is probably one of the questions you asked me earlier, but I was shocked at just how because you hear the rumors. I mean, you hear the stories, you hear everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
But he was very kind, patient. I mean, he was very collaborative, um, and very patient and giving with his time. And he was actually a nice dude. He was actually a very nice, sweet guy. You know, listen, man. When you are worth, I don't know how much he's worth, but when you have done what he's done,
Man.
sometimes you ain't got no time for the bullshit, right? And you know, and I hear all the stuff, culture vulture and all that stuff, but um, my experience and my understanding and learning of Leo over the years that he's somebody who is passionate about the culture. Sure, did he, you know, do some things that people may not be happy with, or did he capitalize off a certain thing? I'm sure, but hey, still sharp and still, man. And because of the things that he's did, he is the reason why we have Rock Nations and we have QCs and these companies today, because people are like, oh, I'm not gonna let somebody else take our culture and do this and that. We're gonna take this. We're gonna own our own shit. We're gonna have our own thing because of. And I'm not saying anything that, you know, about Leo or like he's this or that, but I'm just saying that if that is the common thread that people say, then we should use that energy. There should not be any space for anybody who isn't of our culture that to not come in there. You go out there and get it. You go out there and run Def Jam. You go out. I'm not saying you, but you know what I'm saying, for those
I'll
out
take
there.
a check though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. But like, you know what I'm saying, like for those, like, we have to step up and take ownership over our culture. And Leo, from my experience and from what I know, is just somebody who's very passionate and actually really does love hip hop. You know, and he may not look like some of the, you know, he may not look like you or me, but he's definitely somebody who loves the culture and is passionate about it. And of course, it's going to rub people the wrong way when you're not black or brown, you know, and you're running shit in hip hop. But truthfully, I can definitely say that he probably really earned that slot that he's in, because he really gives a shit about this culture. So I got a lot of respect for Leo.
And I will say, I do think that he did view Irv as his replacement.
Yeah,
I think that, you know, I don't think he knew how to communicate that to him, and I don't think even if he had, that would have tempered Irv's ambition, because he wasn't gonna wait.
No,
and he shouldn't have to. But I can't, man. If there's matter, hold on, let me beg right now. When you shooting your first movie, and
sir.
you need an old fat balding black guy who may or may not have teeth at the time, give me a call.
Listen, I'm not gonna cast myself, so I'll if you know somebody.
Hey, I know a sister though. If you looking for a sister that can act, I actually know one, and I'm just one of those people. Like, if I know somebody that knows something, I try to hook you. Anyway,
Let's talk. Yeah,
you got my number. You know, I'm always, anything you need, bro. Whatever, just let me know. I can't thank you enough, man. This has been an honor and a privilege, and you know I rock with you, bro. This ain't gonna be the last time.
No,
you know,
hell no. I'll be back. I'll be back probably at the end of the series. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we can really talk some shit there.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm gonna have some real questions that you know, series based, that I got some questions about shit, you know, because I know who's in it, but you know I understand how this goes, and I don't I don't want to steal anything, and I don't want Herb calling me up cussing.
Because he will. He definitely will. He'll call you and he'll curse me out.
He'll call you up. What's that nigga number?
Right. He's gonna call me. He's gonna call me a fucking idiot. He's gonna say I'm the worst director in the world. Then he'll invite me over for burgers afterwards. So that's just how we get down.
I'm not mad at that, man. You know, if people want to hire you to direct their movie, their video, whatever the case may be, how they get in contact with you?
Well, it's not that easy. I
forgot. Nah, you Hollywood. No, I'm fucking with you.
No. But people, no. Listen, I'm always, I kid, but I'm always open to hear new pitches, new ideas, and always down to collaborate. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me on Instagram. I'm big on Instagram, at C-Suite Music. Instagram, same thing, at C-Suite Music _. yeah, hit me up, man. Just look me up and we, and reach out to me if you have a great idea. We'll talk, and I will, we'll see what we can do. But I'm always down to collaborate. And if you just want advice, like for those out there looking for, some advice, some guidance, some words of wisdom, some words of encouragement, I got you. Just hit me up. I've been there. I'm still there in many ways, but I'm always down to share with little knowledge and experience I have with my fellow creatives and fellow entrepreneurs out there. So, hit me up, man. I'm always down to talk.
Pleasure to be a stop on your journey to greatness, bro. Um, no doubt, man. Other than that, we're gonna wrap it up. Let you get back to life and the greatness that it is at the moment, and
Yes,
looking
sir.
forward to even bigger and better things.
My
And I
man.
want to say thanks to Irv Gotti, man. That's fucking dope how y'all went about this.
Yeah.
And I don't know what led you to tapping into Michael J. Payton. It was more than just his documentary. It was something in your gut, and you made the right choice.
Can I say one more thing before we go, brother? I know I'm long
Absolutely.
winded, but I definitely want to say there's a lot of, uh, you know, negative attention right now on Earth because of things that he may have said or how he might have gone about presenting things. But I definitely want to say, and I may have said at the top of the show, but you couldn't find a more. I mean, listen, who else would take a chance on a kid from YouTube or Instagram to direct his whole documentary? Who else is out there giving other young black creatives their first shot? I mean, their real first shot, and that's Irv Gotti, and that cannot be lost. That cannot. I mean, he's also a guy that doesn't like to brag on it, so he doesn't sit back and count up the accolades and stuff, or count, oh, I've done this, or I mean, he might not even be aware sometimes of all the impact that he's having on people. But I have to say, Irv he employs so many people, he gives so many people a shot, on his company Visionary Ideas is ran by a black woman, Darcel Lawrence, who, he's given an opportunity to run the company and do amazing things, and he gives so many women and so many up and coming folks opportunity and a shot. And I hope that one day gets the same kind of attention and admiration, or look that some of the other negative stuff out there gets, because he's really out there doing some good work. And is he human? Yes. Does he sometimes put his foot in his mouth? Yes. But he also is someone who will give you the shirt off his back, and someone who also will give you a shot when nobody else will. And I just want to make sure that the world knows that about Herb.
Yeah, shout out to Irv, man. He do the same shit you and I do. He just got a bigger platform. There's more people watching him. Cause I say dumb shit on a completely daily basis, and nobody cares.
Same
So
here. Same here, brother. Same here.
on that note, man, we out. Have a good
Yes,
one, bruh.
you
Like I
too,
say,
brother.
hit me up if you need anything.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Peace. On that note, we are out of here. This has been Jobs, and this has been another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And go to nervedjsradio.com, download the app, hit the mic, and go to nervedjsradio.com and tap in and check me out. I'm on this Thursday. We got the brother who founded Black Owned. Let me get this right, because I forget shit on it complete. I forget shit every day. And I want to make sure that we get Black Gun Owners Magazine correct. All right, yeah, make sure I got that right. Anyway, that was pretty fucking dope. It was, and I'm sorry, it's Jay Williams, the founder of Black Gun Owners Magazine. And that'll be at nervedjsradio.com at 7 p.m. this Thursday. Gotta thank Michael J. Payton again, man. Y'all just don't know. I was crushed that I did not record the last interview. This was even better. Appreciate you, bruh. If y'all need anything, y'all know how to get in touch with me.